Hello, everybody, and welcome. You are watching Phoenix Unicorns Podcast, and I am your host, Paulina, and I want to welcome you guys to our first episode. Bonk, 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 bonk. Oops, the audio just went up to red. Anyways, I want to welcome you guys to my podcast. If you guys remember, I was recently in a project called Millennial Hermits with my best friend Natalie. And right now, this is my podcast where it is called Phoenix Unicorns Podcast. And it's pretty much a record of the chaos, which is part of the renewal process of just life, of learning how to, I don't want to say accept adulthood, but it's the process of, how can I say, kind of pushing yourself for self-growth after possibly, I'm in my 30s, so I've lived a couple of years, many good, many bad, and it's funny how once you kind of get in your 30s, there's like a change of momentum and everything is work, and bills. And you may lose yourself in that intense pressure. And me as a 38-year-old with a child that's 11, and I've dealt with a very huge loss 4 years ago with two people, my two strong pillars passing away the same year, one in May and one in October. So it kind of destroyed me a little bit, and I kind of dwelled in my grief, and I stayed there, and then I decided to make work my priority, and dealing with a child that has was in the spectrum, and ADHD and just other needs. It kind of took a lot of my attention, which it was necessary. But right now, I kind of took a look at I looked myself in the mirror, and with my friend in the other podcast, we had realized that, wow, we kind of need a reset, and that's what Millennial Hermits was. But I also wanted a place where I can create content that was more, not additionally me. I have very different kind of likes. Thanks to ADHD, I can become engulfed and love certain things, and I become really passionate. And that was something that I used to love about my younger years, was that I would just let myself be soaked by my passions and my new hobbies and my new interests. And it was fun and exciting, and I loved just talking about it. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to give my family a break, and I'm just going to make a podcast, and then hopefully somebody else is going to like this too, may find something interesting. And I also thought, I think this would also push me to do research into awesome things that I could do, which, one, are cheap and affordable. Two, are, it takes any dummy could do. Because myself, I don't have any survival skills whatsoever. I have a pocket knife that was given to me, and I went hiking and I used it as a saw. So that's survival. But other than that, I kind of am not really good at that. So I thought it would be a fun experience to kind of learn new things. I mean, I'm in my 30s, and I've always been sheltered and just, I need to learn life and mess up in new experiences that I think will make myself and my son crack up. And I think if we're cracking up, it might make somebody else crack up. I know that I want to toot my own horn, but I think I'm pretty funny, and my son is pretty funny as well. So we always get into interesting adventures, and why not share the possibility with you guys? I think that's the point of Phoenix Unicorns. It's like kind of back in the life, I was like, oh, I'm so unique. I'm a unicorn. And I just had this view in life where I had not seen bad or quote unquote evil. And as I don't want to say I'm jaded, but I have seen uh, what darkness or what darkness in other people can cause. And it made me now more cautious, and I kind of don't like that. I miss the fact that I used to be able to live through life and give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I would feel that nobody would want to hurt me or anything. But as we grow up, we learn those lessons, and hopefully some of you guys won't have to learn those lessons because you guys are around decent people. And unfortunately, thank God later in my adulthood, I met some indecent people, unethical people. And you know what, it showed me a side of people that I never had experienced, but I think it has given me wisdom. And uh, um, I kind of want to, with the Phoenix Unicorns, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, my innocence may had burnt to a crisp, on the ground, but Phoenix, I'm coming out of the ashes, and I'm still magnificent as heck. I'm a freaking unicorn, and you can be a unicorn too. And I'm even better now because I have the wings of a unicorn, and this girl is on fire. So, I hope you guys enjoy this amazing trip of a podcast. And today's topic is going to be pretty fun. I was inspired because we just had a solar eclipse. And me in my mind, I was like, okay, I can make this exciting for myself. It's like, why is this only about, the kids at their school? I can make this fun for myself too. And so I actually was at work when the eclipse happened. I'm in California, and I just did a really fast Google search, and I was like, how can I view this eclipse from where I'm at here in California on a budget? Because I'm not going to buy glasses, because it was last minute, of course, when I realized there was going to be an eclipse. And I saw that you can make a hole on a piece of paper, and then supposedly they were stating that you had to move the paper kind of like when you do with a microscope, how you have to bring it up and down into focus for you to see the eclipse. So I just got a Post-it, and I made a hole with a hole puncher, and then with a pencil I kind of like perfected the little hole. And then when I saw it was going to be peak time, which was at 11:11 here in California, San Diego, which 11:11, really, that was the suggested time of peak. I mean, what does that mean? Wishes, right? So great time for an eclipse. And truth be told, it works. So it truly did work. All I had to do was kind of start printing it up, and I kind of leveled it, and it made on the ground, you would see like the light shine through, and there was a circle, and you would see like somebody bit off a piece of that circle, and that was the eclipse. And that, to me, that was pretty fun and amazing to watch. like a few minutes later, some other people came out with the real glasses, and they were super cool, and they let me borrow them, and I took a picture with my camera. But I did tell them, because I saw on Google and they said, do not face your cameras or aim your cameras at a solar eclipse, because it can burn the lens of your cell phone. So we use the glasses, of course. There was a point where I was trying to take a video of it, and I was kind of aiming it behind me because I had no glasses. That was funny, but we we were having fun actually with the piece of paper. I think the piece of paper was more entertaining, just for the fact that we were like, "Oh my gosh, it works!" And that was fun and exciting. So today's theme is going to be the solar eclipse. And what I wanted to do in this podcast was I I wanted to let you guys know what I found out, because when I was looking really fast during my break about, okay, what's up with the solar eclipse, I saw that NASA, is it NASA or NASA? NASA, on their website, they were going to host this online event where they were going to follow the eclipse throughout, and it was going to be a live event. And my young mind that wanted to be um, an aeronautical engineer back in the days, was like, heck yeah, get ready, NASA, here I come. Watching the video, of course, because I'm at work, and I was listening it throughout the period, because it actually started. The broadcast started around, I want to say, 11 o'clock. So in here in California, and it was going to be 1 o'clock in Florida. So yeah, it was 11 o'clock here in California, and the podcast, they had cameras in different places where the total eclipse was going to be at. So it was like Mexico, Texas, Philadelphia. They were at the Niagara Falls. They were in some country places, not country, but like Midwest and in that area. I forgot what states they were. But okay, so they were filming in Mexico, and supposedly in Mexico it was going to be like the longest time that the total eclipse was going to be at, within that range, and it was going to be like 4 minutes and a half. And also in Mexico they have the pyramids, and I believe, I should have done research. I believe around the pyramids is where you can see the, is it the, is this the eclipse that has the snake or the leopard? Should have done research. But I know that a lot of people always go to Mexico for these eclipses, just to get like all the good energy that supposedly comes from the metaphysical world and this and that. And people usually are like, dude, like that's a whole bunch of bull. And I I I do follow the moon phases to cut my hair for good luck and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people don't believe in stuff like that, but here I come. This is why I want to make a podcast today about the subject, because NASA was actually conducting several experiments during this eclipse. And when I was watching the live feed, they were letting us, people know that what they were going to do was they were going to like shoot 3 rockets or airplanes into the atmosphere, like at a really high place, and they were going to be doing certain measurements. That they were also going to be doing temperature logs, where the sun, they were taking temperature logs from just random people, and they were inviting people to do their own experiments and submit those to NASA. And then they were going to keep that data and do their own thing. But they really were asking for like the temperature changes, like before, during, and after. Like they had the general public involved, which piqued my interest 110%. So knowing that they were taking the data from just regular old people to put into their own research piqued my interest 100 and a million percent. So that was really exciting for me. They were also going to do like they were also going to measure the radiation that was coming when the total eclipse was happening, before and after. They were doing like certain like imaging, like of, like, I don't know, like all these weird stuff. They were even doing like radio, like just a whole bunch of crazy stuff that I was excited about. So I just want to come here and let you guys know what it was, because they also did a huge it's not a discovery, they conducted a huge test, the Einstein theory, which I would get to later. They were able to prove it with more accuracy than it's been done before, because it's been attempted several times, and it's just, there's been, margin errors and stuff. So this was fun and this was exciting. So let me kind of, before I get into the science part of it, I kind of wanted to kind of like squeeze in here the metaphysical part, because me being such a moon girl, I was kind of wondering, like, what does a solar eclipse mean in the metaphysical world, right? That's what I was interested in. And I was kind of reading and doing research, and it was when there is an eclipse of the sun, it's kind of like a symbol for new beginning. It's like you're going to set up new intentions. You're going to focus on your goals. You're going to be manifesting like crazy. I mean, during this eclipse, it's all about imagining and creating in your mind, and what is that word? Manifestation. It's kind of like a reset in life. So for me, starting this new podcast around this time seemed the perfect time for me to do, because it's like it's starting an amazing new project. It's also being able to work on new things to do in life, which are going to be kind of like promoted, not even promoted, but it's going to be motivated by creating this podcast. This podcast is going to push me to come up with ideas, to post. And some of those ideas are going to be amazing adventures that are either new or old to me. And it's going to be fun. So I thought, let's ask the metaphysical world here, what's up? What's going on with this solar eclipse? Okay. So a really cool thing that they were doing with the rockets, or their planes, I guess, so they were sending some like these really high altitude aircrafts before, during, and after the eclipse. And it was like 50,000 feet above the Earth's surface. So like this is up there. This is like ET phone home. This is a meteor's gonna hit us. Oh no, let's shoot it before it gets into the stratosphere. I'm guessing, it was that kind of altitude, right? And I think they were also taking pictures from those. And I think at work, I get little clips of news, and I think it was Russia, one of their satellites or something during the eclipse, because everybody was shooting stuff up in the air to document and do science, which is the whole world. We want to learn. Like, these are the few opportunities that the whole world can work together, or are looking at one specific event to learn to see how the moon, the sun, the earth, they all work with each other, right? Like, what's the teamwork in that, you know? And so they were trying to see kind of what the structure of the middle and the lower corona, not the beer, but the you know the thinning, the, the the thing that protects us so that we have oxygen, and the UV rays don't totally come in and toast us like the microwave, you know, just gives us a little bit of cancer, but not too extreme to where we would totally be radioactive and stuff. They were doing that, and they took infrared, uh, invisible light, and high resolution and high speed kind of images, you know. Uh, and they were also trying to study the dust ring around the sun, uh, to see if there's any asteroids stuck kind of like in the orbit there, like, you know, near the sun. I know that when I was watching the live broadcast of the eclipse, in one of the times that I looked over, because people were like, "Oh my God, this is so amazing!" and they were crying. Uh, because the broadcast, no joke, was like, I want to say an hour long or more. I don't know, because you have to follow the time, that's how long it takes from the moon to cast a shadow from Mexico all the way to like New York or the Niagara Falls. And I looked over, and I know they kept on describing as it looked pink. So they were saying that it looked pink, but through the lenses you couldn't really see it. But there you could see little, like, it looked like little films of something. So when the full eclipse would come, the moon would cover it totally. You would see like the kind of like the ring around it, and it looked like a halo, right? But in some cameras, it looked like you could see even more details of the little waves of, I don't know what that is. You could see them kind of twirl out, or like it's like if God pinched it and just went bloop, like when you get your hair wet and it's short and you go bloop. It looked like that, and to me, that was actually kind of magical. And I was like, man, like, I wish I would have finished my schooling in aeronautical engineering. Um, but by the way, NASA was saying that they're hiring right now. So I wouldn't go, but I mean, like, if anybody's interested, I just go for it. Imagine, imagine it. We're at the point to where, like, hey, you guys, NASA's hiring. Go apply. That is crazy to me. That's amazing. That's crazy. Uh, I mean, even in California now we have a place where they launch things. It's called, what is it called? Vandenberg. It's in California. Vandenberg. They recently actually shot something, I think, on the like, I think a day before the no, over the weekend, Sunday. I think on Sunday they launched a rocket. And I saw it from the beginning, and I filmed it, and I'll put that in this channel later. But that was pretty fun and exciting as well. What else? And I told you guys about like the imaging that they were doing with the spectroscopic. Oh my god, spectroscopic observations of the corona. And that's what I was telling you guys about, that they were doing like the imaging. They were trying to really see what's up with the little wavies, you know, uh and the radiation. But okay, so my question is this. There's been times where I looked up in the sun and I haven't gone blind. I wonder why with the eclipse it happens stronger. I didn't look up, but I am a little curious how many people had to go blind before they realized that you could go blind during an eclipse. To me, that's pretty interesting. And then Another test that people were doing during the eclipse was a listening party. Uh, and it was like mostly amateur radio operators. And what they were doing is apparently the sun's energy, kind of with the electrons and the atoms, since they're all like electrically charged and ionized, they make a sound. And I that's crazy how I guess they were trying to see when the moon blocks it with the solar eclipse, how all of these things change, because they're also saying because of the blockage it does cause some sort of interference electromagnetically, the radioactivity. So to me, that where a little moon can cause, I mean, this moon that we have, girl, she controls us so much. I mean, to the fact that the moon can cover the sun at its small size and create such a chaos or an effect to this planet, which is bigger than hers. I mean, that has to say something about, you know, size. You know, don't judge a book by its cover and size. There's another saying: size don't measure. No, size. There's a saying. Tell me in the comments what the saying is. But I know there's a comment out there. I mean, not a comment. A saying about size. Oof. Yeah. I can't remember. Um, but they were also using the super dual auroral radar uh, to check the weather conditions on the upper layers of the atmosphere. Once again, crazy how this small section of the moon that's casting a shadow is causing such a ruckus here on Earth, which it makes me think, does it make us more vulnerable? Because we're like, what kind of vulnerability is it causing into the Earth for it to cause such an impact? And also with the moon, you know how they say it controls kind of like the tide and everything. Well, wouldn't that also control the movement of the Earth? You know, so more like earthquakes, I would think so. Because with the rain, we usually notice more earthquakes here in California. And with the moon acting all weird all over on top of us, is that going to cause more earthquakes? Would it? Would it not? Would it move the earth? What does it mean? To me, that's pretty interesting. Okay, so another amazing thing that is going on I'm sorry, during this eclipse moment, which you have to realize this event, it was very time sensitive. Like, you had to be accurate to a second to get all of this stuff prepared. Some of these people have been preparing for 7 years since the last eclipse at another place, because whether they're continuously monitoring this or their last time things didn't data wasn't coming up as they wanted. um it's This is amazing. But another thing that they were doing, the Solar Patrol Citizen Science Program, was checking on observing active regions that were magnetically complex regions over the sunspots. And as the moon is moving over them, uh, it was blocking certain parts of the sun, uh, which was allowing the scientists to distinguish the light signals that were coming from different parts of the sun. So kind of, it's like when we kind of put our hand in front of our eyes so we could see a light, we see kind of around it, so that they were taking advantage of the moon as a shield to be able to look into the sun, which brought up an amazing thing that I realized, which I'm pretty sure it's kind of obvious, but I never thought about it. One big thing that the NASA live feed was saying was like, are you team moon, team earth, or team sun? Me, without thinking, I was like team moon, because with obviously controls the earth, a lot. The sun does too, but he's just like chilling there, just like throwing fire in the same spot. But the moon is like, wee, revolves around the earth, kind of a thing, and she rotates and she does all these wonderful things that we see every single night, provides us light when we don't have any, and appears during the day sometimes as well. So I was that, but it was fun to see how like there's scientists that study earth that were so excited about this phenomena, because they're like, oh my god, we're going to study all the things that are happening here at earth when the moon and the sun are doing their thing. And they were getting data of things here within the earth. But then there's actually scientists that focus on just the moon and moon science and seeing what's on the other side of the moon. I actually believe that next year they're going to be sending a crew up to the moon. I'm pretty sure that's what they were saying, that there was going to be a crew that's going to go up to the moon. But I mean, like, they're going to be getting samples and this and that. So I mean, like, there's a whole bunch of people that just are, their sole job is to study the moon. The science, the data, how it's made of. And to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I had forgotten how big the universe is, that here in earth we try to specialize in one career or one thing, and we try to be the experts, but it's like the moon, it's like we don't even know a tenth or 100th of it, and we're still learning. And to me, that was crazy. And then to realize also, I started laughing when the people from the sun were so excited about this phenomenon, because they were like, yeah, we can never see up to the sun, so when the moon is covering the sun, we're now able to measure the waves and the this and the that. And they were so excited. It was really cute and endearing, and I can see where their excitement was, where it's like when you can see Santa. I would take it as that. It's like, you can never see Santa, but let's say once every few years you can really see Santa. Oh my gosh, I would be over the moon. No pun intended. Hee. So that was fun and cute to experience as a watcher. It was that. And another thing that I actually didn't know they were studying until actually just today, when I wanted to kind of get more data before this podcast about what was going on. But apparently, several group of scientists were trying to prove Einstein's theory of general relativity. And I was like, I know I've heard about it, but I wasn't too sure what it was. But it was like physics professors and amateur astronomers. Some of them were like in Mexico, Durango. I think they had also said there were some in other places, but like the main one that was written about was the one in Mexico, because Mexico was going to actually have the longest period of time of the total eclipse, the 4 minutes and a half of just like pure darkness. And the theory that Albert Einstein had was the general relativity. They wanted to record the position of the, so they were trying to record how the stars look like in the sky, the ones that you can see when the moon is covering the sun. They were trying to measure the distance because apparently Einstein uh, was saying that time and space was curved instead of flat, like Isaac Newton. And I know I've seen that in Marvel shows, in the Marvel movies and stuff, where it's like, yeah, when you bend, here, it's a receipt. When you bend time and space, and then they would grab a pencil and then they would poke it in the middle, and then they were like, this is the time variance or the timeline of, and then Loki, and then Iron Man, and then the snap of the finger. It was really interesting, but to be honest, I didn't quite understand it, because I think when they were trying to do the time travel in Marvel, they had said that it was like a turn that was infinite. So it was around. So when you go in through here straight, you can go back into a time which is the future or the past. Like that, it's not a linear travel, right? Now Marvel makes more sense to me, and their time travel and Loki and the variants, because I can see how all that intertwined would be so much. But because with Newton, it's like it's a line, time is a line, you know. And but they were what these scientists were trying to say is that um, the you know how we say like, oh, it's 10 light years away, or I don't know what, pretend that's a legit amount of distance, right? What they were trying to say is actually it was, oh my gosh. Um, so Einstein came up with this idea in the 1915. So this is like 100 years ago, which now makes me feel kind of old, because when I was young, Einstein seemed to be not too far long ago. But I guess he was. So, okay, so Newton said gravity occurred in a flat, uniform space. You know, it's gravity down. But what Einstein was saying is that time and space, which are linked together, is curved. And they're getting pushed and pulled and stretched and wrapped by matter. So they were trying to say, so like the bigger, like the sun is huge, that has its own gravitational force. So that's actually creating with the force, it's kind of creating an indentation. So then that actually affects the time that we're interpreting, because it actually did get bent. It's kind of like this napkin where it's like if I'm sucking on it like this. Oh, wait, this is a bad example. Okay, wait, you see? It's flat, and I go. If I'm here, I'm going to say, oh, this finger is not too far away. But that's a lie, because my gravitational force of me sucking on this napkin is pulling the center inward, which if you follow that, if this is the napkin, it's, if you stretch it out, it's longer. So it is farther. So what they were trying to explain is with that time and space, our perception of it, this is what I'm understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, but their understanding of it is that with all these things of the gravitational forces and then light, and you know, every atom fits in a place, whether it's expanding or not expanding, shrinking. It's a pull and a stretch and everything. So our perception needs to be modified, even our calculations when it comes to things that are outside in space, for sure. So this is going to help with when we're trying to figure out how to do a space jump. We need to take in consideration what is around to modify the velocity, I would think. I also saw this in Marvel with time jumps. So, and time travel. So, just saying, Marvel is truth. And this was a really fun experience to follow, because it made my watching experience of TV shows so much more fun and so much more exciting. And also, it made me realize that I really need to uh, fill out my moon journal that tells me right now the moon is pulling this way, so you have to get rid of the things that don't fit you in life anymore or whatever. Um, but to me, just realizing all these fun games that all these scientists are doing, it's just fun and exciting. And just so you guys know, in 2044, we're going to have another one. And that one is actually going to pass California, which 44, that's what, in 20 years, I'm 38. Okay, so I'm going to be 58. So I'm going to take the day off of work when I'm 58. And I'm going to travel where the fullest total eclipse is going to be. And Joel is going to be older. Well, hopefully he'll come with me. And I'll finally get to live that experience in my life. Because it does seem like at least a once in a lifetime experience that we should try to live and enjoy, uh, and just experience how it just goes. It looked on TV like it went like total darkness, and that's pretty cool. So you guys, I'll see you in 2044, and also 2045. There was going to be another one. Uh, so FYI. So that's actually pretty much everything I wanted to discuss with you guys about this eclipse that got me really excited, and that I'm hoping with all these other eclipses that are going to happen around the world, you'll pay a little bit of attention to maybe what not the governments, but all these other countries are going to be studying, because in the end it does affect us, where the research goes. And um, it's just interesting, you guys. Get a hobby. Eclipses. I think that's a good hobby. That's why I'm sharing it. But you guys, if y'all live in California, in the Southern California, I did want to give you guys a heads up, because on April 11th, there is going to be a launch at 7:25, which means I really have to wake up early and just look out my window like this to see it, because I'm really close to the bay. But the Falcon 9 at Vandenberg Space Station, or whatever it's called here in California, they're going to be launching one of their mission rockets from SpaceX. And then they're going to do 2 more launches in April, which is going to be the mission for the Worldview Legion 1 and 2. And then the that was with the Falcon 9. And then the Minotaur 4, they're doing another mission, the NROL 174 mission. I don't know what the heck that is. But in my next podcast, I'll see if the dates are out, and I'll let you guys know, because I figured out a good spot if you guys are here in San Diego, where you could see it, just like where you can see it from the horizon. And I recorded this, so I'll post this later. And you can see how it goes up, and oof, it's fun. It's fun to watch. If you have no life and you want to skip your responsibilities, get in your car and drive to go look at a rocket get launched, because responsibilities. What's that? Responsibilities. Don't want that. I think that's a song. So yes, that was the fun and exciting part. But you guys, I think that's it for today's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The next podcast is going to be a little bit different subject, different layout, possibly as well. But I really wanted to talk about this. I thought this was fun. It was exciting. And I'm just kind of letting you guys know some things that I wish I would have known when I was going to check out this eclipse. Because I think I mean, it was fun to learn it while I was watching, but it kind of feels cool when you're like outside and you're like, oh yeah, did you know that NASA is doing this and that and this and that? I would have felt kind of cooler. But I felt pretty cool with my piece of paper in a hole. I was looking at the hole in the sky. Um, so yeah, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Please don't hesitate to leave a comment. I appreciate any constructive criticism. Um, any suggestions for content, I'm here for it. I'm looking for things to do, like I said, that are fun, affordable, a new experience, safe for kids, sure. Uh, just, uh, just give me ideas and I'll try them out. How about if you're curious about something, I'll go ahead and try it out. I'll be your guinea pig. Feel free to leave me a comment. You guys don't forget to please subscribe so that you guys are notified that I put up a new podcast. So this is Phoenix Unicorns. We are on YouTube. We are on Spotify and on Patreon. And for anybody that is in our Patreon, there is extra little content for you guys in there. So take a look. It's just $5 a month, and that will help kind of fund all these fun experiences that we're going to try to live up and experience, because we got to live for the ones that ain't living anymore, and we got to live for ourselves, and we got to live for, if you have children, for your children. You have to live for your pets. We need to learn to live, the world shut down 4 years ago, and it's time to bah, 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 turn up for what? Boom, 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 boom. It's 2024. Anyways, this is your host, Paulina, and thank you for listening to Phoenix Unicorns. Take care, and don't forget, we also have an Instagram and a TikTok. Bye!